Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a wonderful Friday today, except for my members who is watching this on Thursday, I guess. Well, anyway, 2 weeks ago, I asked you guys in a community post of any topics that you want my take on, and there were 3 questions that I feel as though were not enough for a single video, but all of them together combined were pretty interesting enough to put to one single video. So we're gonna be answering all 3 questions today, okay? First question. Might not be worthy of a whole video, but personally something I've seen a lot is the Ruan Mei Problem, where she is so good and fits on every team possible that it makes team building hard because we don't have 2 of her. I could probably clear everything in game if I just had a second Ruan Mei. LOL. I don't think this is a problem. It's certainly a bit of a dilemma, I would say, but a lot of it was something that I talked about in the Jojo video that was about how limited supports are somewhat specific to certain use cases. Like Ruan Mei in Super Break is by far the best option in that team, while dual DPS, hyper carry, and other teams that don't fit that description are just good enough to get away with Ruan Mei on the team despite missing synergies that she provides. Similarly with Robin in follow-up attack, she's very busted for follow-up attack teams, but she can get away with any other team because she's just that strong. To answer your question more directly, I don't think it's an issue in terms of like game balancing or how the devs mess up on releasing characters that there isn't a second Ruan Mei. I don't think that's a flaw because quite frankly, we already have multiple teams like Robin that don't use Ruan Mei at all that are just as good as Ruan Mei teams. And I think the actual issue that you have and that you're trying to present here is that there's not enough characters to where you can run the same team archetype on 2 sides of endgame content, and you want a copy of a support to make that happen, which is a give or take since some units are stronger because they don't have overlap. Like for example, Acheron teams and Super Break teams, while some teams are weaker in practice like hypercarry teams because they just keep stealing all the best supports and you kind of have to compensate on one side with a loss of power. So I don't think it's a problem. It's more of a game balancing decision that the devs made. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. Good question, by the way. Good question. Second question. Do you think that there's still a room of growth for Firefly teams, or are Firefly's best in slots always going to be Harmony MC and Ruan Mei forever? It's very hard to bet on forever in a gacha game, but let's entertain this for that sake. Here's the thing that we have to establish first. Firefly is the most replaceable part of a Super Break team. It's very unique because every support unit in the Super Break team is just such a big upgrade that it's more very likely that Firefly gets replaced than any one of them, right? Because if there was a better Harmony MC, it's very likely that you'll just stack both Harmony MCs in a Super Break team. If there's 2 better Ruan Meis, you just stack 2 Ruan Meis together. 2 Gallaghers probably doesn't work, but let's break down each member, okay? What would happen if we get a better Harmony MC? Well, I guess you run that better Harmony MC with Firefly, but the bigger implication here is that there's 2 Harmony MCs and you could run Super Break on both sides, which is kind of crazy. I don't think I can entertain that idea for now, but that sounds very ridiculous to think about today. So it definitely won't be as much of a Firefly upgrade, I think, as much as it's just a general account upgrade that you can run Super Break on 2 sides now, which is, what about 2 Ruan Meis? Okay, making an upgrade of Ruan Mei for Super Break is very easy because our current Ruan Mei provides 50% damage boost, which does nothing in Super Break teams. So you could easily just make another unit with a 100% weakness break efficiency, but no speed buff, no damage boost, and there you go. Ruan Mei could also still be used in double carry teams, but this new unit that's all just weakness break efficiency will only be better at Super Break team. So it's kind of like you made a Firefly version of Ruan Mei and that they only have 1 team, which is hilarious to me that would be the solution. As for a Gallagher upgrade, I know you didn't talk about him, but I feel like he's pretty important to this discussion. Okay, I know people are just gonna ask about Lingsha anyway, so let me answer this, okay? Lingsha is not a Gallagher upgrade because Lingsha drains more SP, and SP is very important for Firefly because she's just so damn fast. There you go. I hope I answered those questions correctly. But anyway, Gallagher is also pretty already replaceable in a super break team. If they just release like a 5-star version of him with better numbers, then you know it's just over. It's just over. But yeah, there's definitely still improvement for Firefly teams. She's not completely, you know, capped at this point. There's still a lot more to go in terms of her support still. So yeah, last question. Maybe a dive into zero cycles and how certain supports are much stronger in zero cycles than the regular play. For clearing content, generally Ruan Mei and Sparkle are comfy picks that are easy to use, while in fast clears like zero cycle, Robin and Bronya are much more preferable for their high action event. Before we get into this, let's get into the fundamentals of why zero cycling works. So the biggest thing, it's not stated enough how important in a zero cycle clear is that you have dance. That light cone makes zero cycling possible, basically. Like there's degrees you can get away with zero cycling, but dance is almost necessary for all of those zero cycle runs. This kind of presents already a dichotomy of, you know, supports that are good at longer play but not good at zero cycling, specifically Nihility teams. For a very good example, you have Kafka DOT. Kafka DOT is very easy to play and it clears very respectably in respectable time, but God forbid you can't zero cycle with it without some very sus investments. And Acheron can zero cycle, but the proof of concept of why DDD is so busted is that Acheron zero cycling rather actually prefers a Harmony unit just to activate DDD. She would literally just rather have DDD than, you know, her full damage passive, which is busted. But yeah, let's go through why this isn't really a thing in Star Rail. Like in theory it could work, but in practice it hasn't happened yet. First is Robin. Robin is the type of character that can be optimized to insane heights that you could zero cycle with her if you have enough of the pieces to make her work, then it's just insane. But Robin in regular play is just too strong as well that it doesn't matter. It's like, here, see, Robin's floor is very high and her ceiling is higher. So, you know, she's not that bad for normal play. She just has higher optimization floor, basically. Next, Ruan Mei. This one is actually pretty close. In any regular team, Ruan Mei is definitely a comfort pick and performs better in longer fights than zero cycling. But here's the big but. There is no other unit that can enable a super break zero cycle as much as Ruan Mei, and I feel like that qualifies enough to make me say that she doesn't count in this sort of criteria. Because if you're not running super break, then sure, there's plenty of other support units that would be better for zero cycling, but she is just the only character that can provide a zero cycle super break that well, so that has to count for something, right? Let's go through all the other supports too. Sparkle, Bronya, and Hanya. These three units are pretty similar. These three units can be used in zero cycles. Bronya and Sparkle are just as capable of zero cycling as the other. It's just that, you know, you have to keep in mind of these stat bumps and what DPS you're playing. If you want to zero cycle with Lune, then you're not gonna bring Bronya for that. You're gonna bring Sparkle. But they can be used in zero cycling, all the Sparkle, Bronya, and Hanya, but they're still comfortable for longer fights. And if you have problems with Bronya in longer fights, you're gonna have more problems with her in shorter fights. So that's just how it works. Harmony MC is probably the one that matches this description the most, because by themselves, they're a character that doesn't like zero cycling because super break is so backloaded. But at normal play, super break is just insane. Like there's the playstyle of super break being lean to backloaded damage inherently makes them have a less affinity to zero cycling. But that's only applicable if you don't have Ruan Mei on the team, and well, you know, running super break with Ruan Mei is its own thing altogether. And more likely than not, you're supposed to run Ruan Mei with them. So on their own, sure, they count for this, but with Ruan Mei, no. I have to mention Tingyun here. She's very special because there have been teams that could pick a much stronger unit than Tingyun. The fact that she could get DDD up on 0 AV makes her actually viable, even though her buffs are a lot less helpful for the hyper carry that you're trying to run. Pretty big, but as we all know, Tingyun is also a pretty good comfort pick. Like even if the fight is pretty long, she's just really good because her ultimate energy feed adds up over time. To wrap up your question, I guess the closest would be Harmony MC by themselves, but again, Harmony MC without Ruan Mei it's probably not something you should look forward. But yeah, I hope all of my answers are satisfactory enough for these 3 questions. But yeah, do all the algorithm stuff, join my membership, like, subscribe, do the algo stuff. I'll see you later. I don't know if I said do the algo stuff twice. I'll see you later. Bye bye.